We talked kind of a lot about Learning 2.0 earlier today, but the real key things that I'm seeing in the market is that Google-like searching. So that's what people want to be able to do. You want to be able to go on your website, type in Google, and that's how younger generations learn. You know, I'm sure you do it yourself. Where's the first place you go when you want to know something? What do? We all go to Google, right? It's the way we learn. Why isn't it like that when our employees log in and try to find out information about our organizations and our jobs, right? The technology's there. The capability's there. And you can talk about technology a little bit later, Johnny. But that's where we're starting to see organizations really start to move and build Google-like searches on top of whether it's content management databases, their LMSs, or if they have a learning portal and gone in that direction, definitely in the learning portal. And there are a lot of tools that do deliver this without increasing a lot of your costs overall too. We'll look at some of those. One way to kind of break down and understand this whole informal learning world is the 4 C's, as we call them: conversations, content, connection, and collaboration. So conversation is really how I interact and communicate with people. Content is how I access content, how I upload content, how I tag it. You know, there are LMSs that will allow you to tag content right now so you can store. You can even tag on your PC with Word 2000 and be able to search on your PC through your tags. Connections, which is all your profiles, the social graph we've talked about. Social graphs are really neat. The technology is allowing organizations to go in and see who's connected to who, right? So now we can find out what part of the organization is really driving a lot of revenue or creating new products, and what's their connection? What does their network look like? How are they getting information? Who are they getting information from? So you can really start to understand the expertise within your organization. And certainly collaboration is just how people are working together, how they're communicating together to create new products and revenue as well. So wikis come into play, workspaces, obviously projects. So the 4 C's kind of, as you start to socialize and think about informal learning, how am I going to bring this into my organization? It can kind of break down and make it very easy to understand for the people you're going to be discussing with. Okay. Just some examples of how informal learning has taken place today. Defense Acquisition Industry University actually has something called the ACC, Acquisition Community Connection. And it's really unique because it brings both the public and defense acquisition facilitators, employees together within a collaborative environment so they can share knowledge about a particular subject. So there's faculty on it, there's employees on it, there's people that may have worked as government contractors who can go in and learn information very quickly. And when they leave, they can actually continue to communicate within this group and this community. So it's not just within the employee base, but it's much broader. Federal Reserve is also, over the last 10 years, with their Cleveland group, has built up really a knowledge from the bottoms-up approach. So they've had a lot of collaborative tools, a lot of knowledge capture tools in place that they've been able to tag and access and share information across the organization. And it may be a video clip of a post meeting that went with a client or one of their analysts, for example. And it's shared. It's there. People want to participate in it because now it's part of the culture to do that. So these things are out there. They're happening. It's just not from an organizational learning structure that it's really mainstream at this point in time, but it will be. And that's why we said earlier, we really believe that this informal learning model will become part of your learning architecture overall and your learning plans and how you're going to build it in. So IBM it's Blue Pages, which is very much like a MySpace or a Facebook type approach where experts are found throughout the organization. Wachovia is doing the same thing. We've got 110,000 employees have their own face pages. RWD does a great job, I mentioned earlier. As I come on board, a new hire, I get my own space. So I get to blog and read other new employees' blogs as well. So again, these are examples of how organizations are implementing social learning that you can utilize at your own organization. The major software company, what they're doing is that they've got organizations across the world and the globe that are resellers who are selling their products, but they have innovation communities that they've set up. So the resellers are now learning from each other on how to sell the product and how to gain information and knowledge, who to contact for information. And so it's working as a social networking environment from the reseller, that external market. And Qualcomm is a large program really about community managers who are setting up blogs and working on blogs to manage overall communities, which we talked about. That's one of those new disciplines that you might find if you start to implement these is, well, how do you manage all these communities that have been set up and these communities of practice? It takes resources to be able to do that, and it may or may not be within the learning organization. This is just an informal model in terms of coaching, which we're seeing is becoming more and more important for learning organizations. We've always had executive coaches that may have worked with executives or maybe gone out from a performance solution standpoint, but integrating coaching into your actual learning environment is really something new. DoubleClick does this quite a bit. So new managers come in to the organization. They go through a series of formal coaching sessions. They actually have an external coach that they hire. They can cost justify it. And the person actually never ends up going to that new leadership class that we always have traditionally gone to, right? Because they're able to gain that knowledge firsthand. I think we do have some people from CA here, or I don't know if they're still here or not, but Sinead, right? Does this look familiar? It's a very effective model from what we've seen from a case study perspective, and you're using it for sales, customer service, leadership type model, right? So I would assume that in this model you're able to save time, get people up to speed faster, and maybe come to a formal classroom later on. So that's an example of a learning organization that's gone out, built a coaching model that's used for quote-unquote traditional training, right? The point is, can people perform in the job as well as they could if they had gone to a 2-week class? And your model definitely says that they can, right? It's less expensive overall, and people are up to speed faster. And they built those relationships within their organization too. All right, this was just a learning portal. I talked about this already too. This is what IBM has actually rolled out. And one thing I wanted to really point out here is that LMS is really no longer the key element to how people are accessing information. What IBM does is they have experts, subject matter experts and content experts that tag content and agree what is going to be loaded into their LCMS, and then their employees are able to go in and actually access that information as they need it, but they can also access all the collaborative or informal networks as well. So by searching, they're going to see a course, they're going to see a piece of content, but they'll also see networks and experts all at once. That's the $50 million model. But it doesn't mean that you can't leverage some of these aspects as you start to do this type of thing within your own organization. Just want to show you some examples because it came out, are there tools out there right now? This is just one company, not advocating this one in particular, but what they've done is they've built a number of informal learning tools within their LMS and their talent management system. So now if you go in, you have an employee profile on Facebook. As you log into the system, you can create your own. You can upload your own postings. It is user rated, so you have people rating the system. You can tag it. It shows the communities I belong to, the people I'm connected to. It logs my favorites down, and then expert Q&A. All within a very traditional LMS organization that's been able to add these types of tools. Same thing, they also have a collaboration tool. One big thing about collaboration is that it can't be anonymous. You have to be able to, and that's one way it's self-policing to a large extent. You know what I've said on this particular collaboration stream. I'm not going to say anything that would be negative or something that could jeopardize myself as an employee by any means. So this is just shows a tool that allows collaboration and also that rating of the person's content. Again, coming from a standard tool.